Hey, welcome to Sign to 191. So it's been a couple days since I've been able to upload a video. My wife gave birth to our second son yesterday morning. So we've been in the hospital for the last 2 days, and finally we're home, and finally I'm able to record videos in a semi-peaceful environment for the time being until all of a sudden I start hearing tears of crying from my son. So I want to talk about sorrow and joy. I want to talk about the life that we all live, and the things that we go through in our life that will make or break us. And the last 48 hours have had both. So I was very excited, knowing that I was going to the hospital and we were about to give birth. My wife was going to give birth. I was just going to stand there and watch. But I was excited to see my son for the very first time. And there's a million emotions that go through your body. I was very, very, excited for it. But literally, in the middle of it, before he was born, I found out that my grandmother had passed away. Now, my grandmother was very old and had lived a phenomenal life. She passed at the age of 94, and just a phenomenal individual. But just like many of you, your mom or your dad might not have been the closest relative that you had. And to me, I really looked back on my life and I think of the things that made me successful before my mindset took over and, solidified what it was. And when I look back in the image of what is success and what is success, look like, and what is hard work and dedication and ethics and morals and values look like, and I look to it and it's my grandmother. And it'll always be my grandmother in my eyes of what an inspiring individual looks like from the family standpoint. And I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken at the fact that I was not able to be there to say goodbye. Now, like I said, she's very old, and a few years ago I was able to see her and kind of say my final goodbyes because she lives far away, and I live obviously in Japan. But with that, I look back and I think, you know what? That's what success looks like. And how do I accomplish that same success? Well, I accomplish, the same success in doing that, being that representation. I said it earlier to my sons, even though they don't really understand, one will be 4 in February, and one obviously was just born. He's 2 days old. But I'm going to do what is necessary, and I'm going to accomplish what it is to be what the image, all right, and the morals and values and the character of an individual, and that image of what a man is. So therefore my sons grow up to be the same individual, and they grow up to strive to be, an honorable individual. And the reason for that is because same thing, the sorrow that I felt when my grandmother passed away, because of what I thought of her, the phenomenal individual that she was, the phenomenal woman that she was. A lot of the time people get these stereotypes mixed up, like, well, a man can only look up to another man for this and that, and a woman can only look up to another woman. And I say no. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, there should be no restrictions on it. When I think of greatness, I think of my grandmother, and I will always think of my grandmother. And I want not only my sons but my daughter to think of, when they look up to greatness, they look up to me and my wife, and how we raised our children, and how we ensured that they were raised better than we were, even if we were raised great. Those are the things that I want to work for, and the sorrow and joy that happiness brings in its own way. I was tearful when I found out the news of my grandmother's passing, and I was tearful when I saw my son for the very first time. The emotions that were running through my body. But overall, that's what I think of is a balance that'll ensure that everybody gets to some type of success in their life. Because, like I've said it numerous times, monetary value is not what you should be going for when you're talking about success. Happiness is what you should be going and what you should be striving towards to be successful. And I know that my grandmother was a very happy woman. She lived a great life. There are literally a million stories of things that my grandmother's done, of ways she not only inspired me, but inspired all of her children and her family and her friends around her, and people that didn't even know her for her, just knew of her, where we grew up and where she eventually lived out her last days. And that's the thing. That's what I want. I want the sorrow and joy to be the embodiment of success. And my decide and do philosophy, my decide and do mentality to ensure that I'm doing that, ensuring that I'm living up to what it is that my image of success is overall. So if you have the same type of thoughts, you have the same type of individuals that are in your life that are making these impacts on you, that is phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. But a lot of the time we don't have those individuals in our life. Yes, I had my grandmother, but that was it. I didn't have a lot of other individuals, where there are some that have no individuals, and then there's some that have so many different individuals they can't count them on their hands and feet. But when I was growing up as a child, it was really just my grandmother that was that that light for me. My grandfather passed when I was very young, and too young for me to remember much of anything about him. Not to say that he wouldn't have been a phenomenal individual to look up to, but he just, life is life. So think about that. Think about that when you're around other individuals. Are you being that light? Are you being that individual that others are looking up to? Are you being the individual that inspires? Are you being the image, not only internally but externally to other individuals? It doesn't matter who they are, a male, female, does not matter. So think about that, and if you're not doing that, then adjust, make changes, because I'm not perfect by any means. By any means, I'm not perfect, but I know that I'm a whole lot better than I was 10 years ago, and in 10 years from now, I'm going to be a whole lot better than I am right now. So we can all work on it together. We can all make these adjustments. We can all make these changes. And Grandma, hey, I love you. I always will. Just like I love my son that was just born less than 48 hours ago, and I always will. So I appreciate both you in your own special ways. Until my next video, I appreciate all you that are actually watching this video, and continue to strive for success, continue to strive for excellence in everything that you do, you say, and who you are overall, and spread that around. All right, the world would be a much better place if we had more individuals that strive for honest success in making the world a better place by making themselves better individuals first. Thanks.